How would you define the metaverse?
Apple announced the Apple Vision Pro. The whole premise of Web3 is ownership of data. It's incredible.
When it comes to our children, when they say, I want to grow up, I want to be X. Yeah. When you have the advent of this technology, will they have the tolerance to go through exams? You have the likes of ChatGPT computer program to do it for me.
It's a very, very, very valid point. Yeah. I can't give you an answer.
Will everybody just have to become a content creator?
You're win, yeah. But you're monetizing. I'm not monetizing. Look at that.
You will know.
Soon come. Yeah. Well, no, this is good. Thanks for that.
Welcome back to another episode of the Traders Brawl Podcast, in collaboration with Super Future Technology, a newly launched crypto exchange here in Dubai. Traders Brawl is Dubai's first fitness with financial freedom podcast talk show. And for those who don't know, welcome. I'm Adel Burton, and I have a special guest with me today, Jimi Daodu from Volatile.
Hey! Really excited and pleasure to be on here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Jimmy, we've met many times before in networking events. I think the first time I met you was in Dubai Design District. You had your booth there, and you had your Metaverse display. And so today's topic is, what is the Metaverse and what are its implications and impact on our daily lives? But before we get into that, how are you?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Physically, I'm well. Mentally, I'm getting there, getting better. Okay. It's been quite challenging and overwhelming running a startup in itself, wearing different hats, sales, chief servant officer, product owner, fundraiser. It's overwhelming in itself, but going to therapy, making sure I'm looking after my mental health, socializing, networking, and all of those fun stuff that come with the job.
Definitely. I really resonate with what you just said. I know being a founder and entrepreneur, there's so many stresses that come with that, especially, when you feel like you have to handhold people and, they won't perform the same way as you.
Yeah.
So you take on more responsibility than you should.
100%. And for me, with that exact example, it's trying to be as patient as possible with people. Not everyone's going to do it to your standard, your level, your quality, but you also want to get the impact from people, get people the freedom to do their work independently as well. But,
exactly.
All of that comes together and can be challenging and overwhelming.
That's I agree. But good that you mentioned you're doing therapy. That's good that you're looking after your health.
Yeah.
It's really important. So I heard you recently traveled.
Yes.
What was that about?
So I got invited to speak at an event in the UK. Volatile, the company behind the world's first human-centric Metaverse. We started off in London, in the UK, and then early last year we opened up shop in Dubai. So I got invited to speak at a Web3 event called Web3 Live in London. It was the 2nd and 3rd, missed my dates now, 1st and 2nd of June. And then I still have family in the UK, so mix the business and pleasure together.
Oh, fantastic! Okay, great. So in that case, since we're now going to segue into Volatile, maybe give an introduction of what is exactly Volatile.
Good. So I have various explanations for it. Right. The simple one is creating a new channel of experience for brands, products, and services. And what I mean by that is a classic example. I love Nike shoes. I customize a whole
I can
lot
tell.
of them.
You're rocking the kicks today.
It's part of the outfit. It's part of the uniform.
Yeah.
And Nike, as a consumer, you could go into the Mall of Emirates, pick up a pair of Nike shoes. You could go on your computer online, pick up a pair of Nike shoes. You could go on your mobile, pick up a pair. The Metaverse is the next evolution where you could also customize and pick up a pair in the Metaverse. So technically, we enable all of those transactions and that new experience for consumers, a new revenue stream for brands.
Okay, I see. Really, that's really cool. So let's say I am a retail or a person who wants to get involved in Volatile. Could you walk me through the customer journey process, how I could get involved and how I would benefit?
Absolutely. So we've kind of made it very simple, and we've come up with 4 key onboarding or user journeys, right? And I'm not going to go boring into the technical details. We have product lines and all of that. But the first is brand activation. So you want to come into the metaverse. How do you know what to do? We handhold you, we work with you to understand why you want to come in. What are you trying to do? Are you a consumer? Are you a brand? Whatever it is, we work with you around brand activation. Then the second is around customer acquisition. How do we do an activation that brings in more customers? How do we leverage the Web3 community? How do we also enable businesses to understand about community building? The third is around revenues. Now you spent this money acquiring customers and activating your brand in Metaverse. How do you get money back? So again, work with you around techniques and strategies and approach within the Metaverse to do that. And the last is retention. How do you get people coming back? What are those loyalty schemes? How can I incentivize people to change their psychological behavior to come back into the Metaverse and actually enjoy it? If I give you an example, Hugo Boss, they sell clothing, right? They did an activation, I think a few months ago. My mate T-Bolt at Exclusible was part of a team that launched Hugo Boss into the Metaverse. And from a statistics perspective, the time spent on their website, on that page for that product was, I think, about 20 times greater in the Metaverse for that same product.
Wow.
So just from an engagement perspective and a visit perspective, you could see the benefits of being in the Metaverse.
I see. So the engagement levels are much higher. Are you saying they're much higher in the Metaverse than in the physical world?
Much higher than the websites.
In the websites, okay,
correct.
Right.
And actually in the physical world as well, depending on how you shop. I'm the kind of person that if I want to buy something, I know what I'm going to buy. I go get it. I don't even try it. Well, maybe I try it on.
Yeah.
But I don't like shopping, so I go and get something and leave.
Okay.
You know, so for my kind of person or persona in the Metaverse, I would have spent 3-4 times the amount of time I'd have spent at the physical shop on the Metaverse.
Right. Okay. So this is a great deep dive into the Metaverse. And before we get into it, maybe for the audience who are watching this and are new to this page, how would you define the Metaverse? And why is it unique?
So the Metaverse is a socially shared virtual space. Let's put it that way. So it's being in the internet rather than approaching the internet from your phone or your device. So the Metaverse allows you to create a virtual identity through your avatar. You could go into different spaces. So think about it like the internet back in the 80s when Bill Gates was on the David Letterman show talking about the internet, and he was being ridiculed saying, hey, but there's radio and TV. And, you know, I'm like, guys, that is the same space we are now. Again, in the 70s, if you had a computer, like an IBM computer, you probably need a crane to get it into your office. But now your computer is the palm of your hand through your mobile phone. So that's the evolution. And, you know, that is where we see the Metaverse going to. Lucky enough, a few Mondays, last Monday, Apple announced the Apple Vision Pro.
That's true.
Again, you know, Meta has been doing stuff like about 7 other XR device producers like Lenovo announced new devices. So you can see where the money is going in R&D, and you can see the future of that. They always say, if you want to know the future, follow the money. But,
That's true.
You know, a lot of billions of dollars are being spent in this space, and I feel like people should engage in one way, shape, or form.
That's true, and I resonate with the VR headset because they're at the moment they are revolutionizing how we interact with technology in the sense that your pupils are able to select and mark.
Eye
right?
tracking.
It's crazy. Eye tracking.
Yeah,
that is the next thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because I think with the Meta one, again, they put out limited information, but part of the advancement in the next release would have a bit of substitution if you wear glasses. So imagine I wear glasses to work on a computer.
Yeah.
If my work went from a screen to VR and I'm having 3 screens, and I have my prescription in my VR glasses, I'm not going to need glasses and monitors anymore. I'm just going to need one device. So futuristically speaking, there are a lot of advantages and benefits.
Wow. This is crazy stuff. They're retailing at 3,500.
Yeah. So again, yes, it's a price point. Yes, we know it's Apple. Yes, we know it's quality. Yes, we know they're a cult. Yeah, well, dare I say that?
I
have an Apple phone.
Same.
But this is a pro version. It's for folks like myself, developers and app builders and all of that. And early adopters. The next version is going to be slightly cheaper, and as I keep saying, the more we adopt technology, the lower the cost of the hardware around technology gets.
That's true. Okay, wow, that's great. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So I want to ask, what are the ways in which the metaverse could transform the way? I mean, we kind of talked about this maybe in more detail. Transform the way we communicate and interact with each other on a day-to-day basis. How will the metaverse change that?
So there are various use cases and examples for the metaverse, and a good scenario was the analysis of industry experts last Monday when Apple announced trying to segment each of the industries and understanding where is Apple trying to play at? If you look at Facebook, it's all about, or Meta's Oculus Quest, it's all about exercise, activity type communication. If you look at the ads from Apple, it's more around communication, productivity, being at home watching like cinema type visuals and all of that. So you could start to see, hey, if I want to do gaming and activities, I buy Oculus. If I want to switch to work and content creation to generate money and funds, I use Apple. So again, you're starting to see where that looks like. Answering your question from a communication perspective, it's all over the place, and I feel like as we start to dive into this, so we're talking to a client now around bringing training into the metaverse and moving away from your 2D training and videos to making it more engaging. I remember when I used to work at Barclays, every quarter we had compliance training and would always get an email on the last day of the quarter saying, hey, if you don't do this, this is going to go to the MDs and the CEO, and everyone's like, I don't want to do that. So that last week of the deadline, everyone's scrambling.
Of course.
Because it's boring, because it's, we have to do this because we have to do this.
Yes.
But if you make, training in the metaverse fun, engaging, once it's out, I'm going to be one of the first people to want to do the training. Right. So from a business perspective, it reduces compliance risk, which can be quite expensive. So again, there are a lot of benefits around this in everyday life around communication.
Okay. Yeah. And I also, to build on that, I think I also have another example. A particular industry that will definitely make use of the metaverse is healthcare, especially in the context of performing surgeries in a more engaging and educational way.
Absolutely. And, within Volatile, and I'm not trying to sell, I'm trying to educate. So, hey, within Volatile, we have, we're built on human instincts, and we've taken 7 out of 16 basic human instincts, things that make you and I human, things like vitality, idealism, community, romance, play. And speaking about your example about surgery in the Vitality District, we've just incorporated AI where you have an avatar you can walk to and talk to Dr. Emily, the therapist, around anxiety and depression. So again, that is now how you now evolve what you currently have in the metaverse. And part of what I've been reading and seeing is the metaverse is going to activate the artificial intelligence side of things. So make it more visual, make it more pronounced, make it more dominant, and it's incredible.
I want to build on that. So you mentioned speaking to a therapist and, healthcare, you're giving a lot of information. So I've got a question for you. It may be a little bit difficult, but let's go for it. So privacy and security are significant concerns in the digital realm.
Yep.
So how do you think the metaverse will address these issues in the context of security? And what challenges do you think would still remain?
So when we talk about privacy and data, right, the whole premise of Web3 is ownership of data, right? So that is already being solved in itself. Like, I'm not getting spammed by emails. My data is not being sent to or sold to advertising agencies. I can control where I want to be in and where I don't want to be in through my wallet and all of that good stuff. So I think from a privacy perspective, that is all taken care of. However, there is also a challenge around the user experience. You know, if I have a wallet that is Ethereum based and I have a wallet that is Solana based and I have a wallet that is Tezos based, how do I use that in various metaverses? How do I use that to communicate? It becomes a bit more challenging, right? So again, the technology is still early. We're still going to get to a point where it's going to be very seamless, just like you use your Face ID on your Apple phone to unlock almost every app. We'll get to that point, you know. So part of the challenges I see is how do we crack that interoperability problem, not just with the wallet, but also with the experiences, you know, working with the likes of various metaverse partners as well to understand, hey, how do we create a unified technology around 3D assets? You know, there's an asset class called the FBX, GLB. So it's how do we standardize that across the board? We're still figuring it out. I'm not going to tell you there's a clear answer to it, but various startups and various folks we're working with right now, working on that for us to incorporate and integrate into our ecosystem.
Okay, just to go back to the privacy and security. So let's say you're speaking to, you know, you're in the metaverse. You're speaking to, like, say, an AI, called like Emily. Okay, you're giving
Dr. Emily.
Dr. Emily, yeah, nice secretary glasses. Okay, Dr. Emily is listening to all the things that you're opening up about and you're being vulnerable about. So where does this data then get stored? So you're saying it gets stored on a decentralized way where it's like split across many computers and nobody can access it but yourself?
Correct. So again, there are a number of ways, right? So part of the proof of concept we're using is a mix of centralized and decentralized servers, right? Now, in terms of what you're sharing and storing, all of that is obviously being captured and used to train the model. Part of where we're getting at is Dr. Emily herself will be connected to the real Dr. Emily. So the real Dr. Emily in real life will be training Dr. Emily, the AI avatar in Vitality in Volatile City, to talk to you and I if we had any challenges. So from a security and privacy perspective, it now depends on, hey, once we start to furge this out and make it bigger and impactful, it's like, okay, guys, how do we look at data ownership here? How do we also look at data security and privacy from regional perspective? You know, you have GDPR in Europe, for example. We're in Dubai.
Yeah.
How do we work through all of those, you know, geographical loopholes? Again, I don't have all the answers. We're working with partners that do, but it's a brilliant question. And for us, we're piloting with a centralized model. We also have the decentralized model through IPFS. But again, you start to look at cost implications and starting to understand, okay, what fits best? You know, it's all well and good. We have that community approach of, you know, want everything, you know, on-chain, but you know, if I ask people, do you know how much it costs to have a gig on chain? They probably wouldn't know. You know, so again, it's now, you know, what is that trade-off practically?
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I like the idea that it is the privacy concerns are solved by the fact that it's on the blockchain and, you know, only through your own because the blockchain is meant to be unpenetrable. Yeah. And through your own seed phrase or whatever, you can access what's on the blockchain. Now, the only, I guess, the only non-fail proof thing is if servers burn out or die. Because if the servers die, there's no metaverse.
Yeah, just the same way as servers die, there's no internet.
There's no internet.
It takes us back to the Stone Age.
Exactly.
but I guess it's a really important question. And if I look at what the guys at Polygon, Ethereum, you know, Polkadot are doing, it's how do we continue to replicate instances? You know, if I actually look at AWS as well and server stacking and latencies and all of that, having data centers across the world for fail-safe and high availability, again, it's still the same premise. You know, so it's a tough one to crack, but I guess we're doing this with very, very smart people and, you know, we're still here.
Yeah. I think, you know, if you're in the server business, you're in the money. because the servers are just going to increase.
Yes, but I think it depends on location, because with every data center you build, there's always going to be operational costs, diesel, light, electricity, security, insurance, all of those operational type costs. So, I think one of the new innovations are having data centers underwater, so submarine data centers. Yeah, Microsoft started looking at that a couple of years ago. It's quite interesting.
That's
quite interesting, and there's a sustainability angle to that as well. Apparently, there's more CO2 savings in seas than in trees.
Wow, that's cool.
So there's a lot of perspective around that. Cool.
Yeah, putting it in submerged in the ocean would make it tsunami proof.
Right. But once you get a faulty pipe or something, what happens?
Oh yeah. You're done.
Crack.
One crack. It just takes one crack.
I know, but hey, let's look at the architecture of, like London. You have Blackwall Tunnel. It's in water. It's been on for a couple of 100 years now, I think. So again, these innovations are there, but it's always good to check yourself to say, hey, what can go wrong, and how do we fix what goes wrong?
Okay, let's move on to another question. So apart from gaming and the obvious industries, what other industries and sectors do you believe will be most heavily influenced by the metaverse?
So I was in a conversation on Monday with a chap called Liam Gill, and really savvy guy, supporting us in our fundraising and pitch review and how we do our pitch decks and all of that. And he was talking about the beer industry.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the same expression I had. Like beer. Wow. And he made a valid point. A lot of it is dominated by a few players, right? And from a marketing play perspective, there isn't a lot of marketing around innovation. It's always the same thing. How do we, get a superstar, a stadium, some sports, bring people together? And, he was looking at, we were just deliberating about things around, how the metaverse can enhance tourism in the beer industry. How do you start to show people how you craft beer through the metaverse and experience that through, through the metaverse, VR glasses and all of that. And also, how do you use that to channel marketing and sales to drive revenue in? So that's one element to it. I'd say another is productivity, which we already know. Part of the teaser videos from Apple's Vision Pro had 3 screens in it, where you could have your work computer and 1 or 2 screens, like I do. I use 2 screens, and then one just showing CNN or Sky News. So again, rather than now having 3 monitors, I just need one headset. So once you start to look at it, every industry you could use this for.
My God,
it's mind blowing. Like, I kid you not. Like, I have clients come into the office in Silicon Oasis, put them into it, and the ideas just start coming themselves. Like, I don't even need to pitch anymore. It's like, oh, can we do this? Can we do that? So now my role is now to tame them in terms of, hey, the technology is not yet there. You could do this, but maybe in another 2 years. But it's so fascinating how everyone understands it, wants to get into it. For the naysayers out there, I'm like, hey, just get into something. Jump on a metaverse that's web-based. There's Roblox, for example. There's Minecraft, there's Fortnite, there's Volatile. Experience it in one way, shape, or form.
Understood. Okay. Of course, when it comes to things that are more physical, that require more physical activity, let's say like going to the fitness industry and gym, I could imagine, immersing, just when they become as thin as these glasses, one day when they're not super thick, as thin as these glasses, I could wear them on, go on a treadmill and feel immersed, like I'm running in some kind of cool tunnel. I'm running and I'm in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. But just check that out. Once this becomes more mainstream, you could have your community members join you on that. And all of you are running together.
Right.
It's mind blowing. There's you could do kayaking right now in VR. You could do fishing. there's a whole lot of stuff that people don't know about.
Yeah.
So
it's really crazy.
It is.
It's mind-blowing.
I'll tell you this. Don't tell my wife.
So she won't check this. Don't worry. Close your ears.
There was a time we were watching, we were in bed, and she wanted to watch one of her TV shows, and I didn't want to watch the same. And I put on my headset and I went to Netflix, and I was watching my own stuff, and she was watching the TV in the room.
Oh my God.
I know.
No comment.
No comments.
But yeah, so based on that example, you could argue that this could also have a social impact, maybe slightly negative social impact, because people will become so immersed in their own world that they don't need to be in a room anymore.
Absolutely, you're spot on, and I think part of how we pitch this at Volatile and let people know is we're not trying to build a dystopian type of world. There's always going to be a need for interaction, but just imagine during the pandemic, the amount of mental health cases around loneliness. You have a lot of people in the billions in the world that still don't know how to talk to people and interact with people, and not comfortable and really, really shy just being out there. So all of the capabilities through the metaverse, through VR, aims to solve some of those. So while that scenario with my wife was for a couple of minutes or about an hour tops, we still have 24 hours, and I wasn't in the metaverse all day. There was still that social interaction. But you're spot on, and I think various industries and sectors will need to look at how do we work through those social norms with the use of this. It's the same things with everything: guns, phones, TVs. Once all of this innovation come around, it's always, what is the safety element of this? How do we make sure, with the TV as well, people watch TV 24 hours a day, that impacts eyesight. How do we make sure that, we're able to get the TV manufacturers like Samsung and co to make sure how they're building doesn't impact the eyes? And this also started in VR, and the likes of Meta have started looking at technological innovations around, dizziness when you wear the VR headsets. So again, as you start to grow with the technology, all of this becomes better.
I agree with that. As technological advancements happen with time, you know, Rome was not built in one day. So I can't imagine what it would look like in 2050.
Hey,
for example.
Hey, I should ask my kid.
Okay, another question now on geographical and cultural divides. So. Yeah. Do you think the metaverse could bridge geographical and cultural divides in the sense that there could be one standardized, because right now there are different rules for different countries, but when we're in the metaverse, you're in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Could there be a bridging of, I suppose, standards and rules that we all just follow, or will there still be divides in which country you're in means you have to follow this set of rules?
Yeah. So I'd say there would always be rules, right? Because every country wants to have sovereign rights over their region.
Citizens, yeah.
Exactly. You'd never be able to topple that. However, what I could say is, if I look at the benefits of the pandemic, if you look at remote working, the challenges of remote working, let's put that aside to one side, but the benefits of remote working has been incredible. Now employees or employers are like, oh, I'm going to go hire in this country because, I can now. I don't have to be in the office anymore. So from a talent perspective, you're now getting diverse talent in your workforce, enabling productivity and increasing revenues because of the advent of remote working. Same with the metaverse. Once the technology, once the innovations, once the industry sector starts to brace this in full time, it's going to be incredible. So I don't think there will be a divide. I'd say a more collaborative. Very embracing approach to the use of this. So at the Dubai Metaverse Assembly last year, you had the pardon me if I missed this right, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas.
I may have been. Was it which month was this?
This was in October last year.
Oh, I think it was Dr. Marwan was there?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere, actually.
But in the Bahamian embassy, and they also have their CBDC as well.
Oh, yes.
The sand dollars. They're talking about embassy visa approvals through the metaverse, government services through the metaverse. So if I want to apply for a visa right now, I could do that in the metaverse and get that, approved. So you start to see that collaboration rather than divide, because the technology is here to stay. Like I keep saying to people, it's an added income stream. Like you're doing X, you do X, you're selling shoes in a store. You go online. Again, the same way people were hesitant to go online, and then they found out, I make more money online than in shop. Same thing with the metaverse.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think we can agree it's going to bridge cultural divides and bring people together.
Absolutely.
And make things more efficient and hopefully less costly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the startup cost is always, with every new technology, back when the Macintosh came out, again, huge prices. When the iPhone came out, huge prices. When GSM SIM cards came out, huge prices. And then more adoption, cost of technology reduces.
Fantastic. I want to move on to now a little bit of AI, so artificial intelligence. Are we seeing any examples or use cases of the bridging between the metaverse and AI?
Absolutely, 110%. I feel like AI, the metaverse is going to bring. Is it the metaverse bringing AI to life, or AI bringing the metaverse to life? I'm not sure. One of those. Figure it out. But in all honesty, we rebranded to Volatile.ai when we turned 2 on the 20th of May. And part of that is the strategy we tagged embracing the future, right? AI is here. It's here to stay. It's been here a while ago. In my first degree in 2008, I did a module on AI. My master's at the University of Bristol in 2011, I did a module on AI as well. So again, it's been here for a while. The practical applications are just being really, really consumed right now because everyone's like, I could do this quicker. I could do this faster. I could do this better. So you now start to bring in that concept of, this was around from a back end perspective, but now let's bring it to the front end. Let's bring it to the consumers. How can I write a pitch deck in seconds and minutes rather than in weeks and days? So I think coming back to the metaverse, and one of the examples I keep using therapy close to my heart, we launched Dr. Emily again a few weeks ago, where you could walk to Dr. Emily and from a knowledge base and bank, you could talk to her about anxiety, depression. And then part of the roadmap is finding a couple of other Dr. Emily's and, getting them to own that bank and then monetizing that through NFTs as well. So again, bridging Web3, Metaverse and AI together. And the beauty about what we're doing is from an access perspective, what we currently have, we can open it up to emerging nations like Lagos, Africa, where you don't have access to mental health, and you could have an AI powered avatar, speak to someone that's going through something without having to pay, 400, 500 dirhams an hour to speak to a real therapist.
All they would need is access to the internet.
Exactly, which they do right now. And, fun fact, there are more mobile phones in Africa than clean water.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Mind blowing. Wow. And then with the advent of Starlink, again, internet access in remote locations is, solvable.
Wow. Okay. No, that's really good. I mean, we're bridging AI, Web3, Metaverse. These are things that were happening right now. The bridging of them is a natural thing, a natural thing in the cycle. Absolutely. So you could, let's say, go on wear the VR headset and literally go on ChatGPT, but instead of a website, it's an immersive.
Exactly. So rather than having a chat bot I'm typing, I could talk and someone talks back to me.
Right.
So we're doing a proof of concept with one of our clients, Whipper, around government services. How do we start bringing, I want to renew an Ijari, for example. How do I do that? And then it brings out everything I need to do. How do I renew my UAE visa? Or, how do I get a car in the UAE? Brings out everything, and it's more interactive, and I ask it a different type of question, and it tailors that question back to me rather than one of those mundane chatbots that goes, this is the same answer, this is the same answer, this is the same answer.
Good. I like that. I really resonate with that. One thing I wanted to know now is, and going forward, the whole metaverse, being in immersive experiences, and it just leads to limitless creation and exploration.
Yeah.
I wonder how do you think it might affect things like creativity, art, entertainment, things like that?
So I've heard a debate about this, and I have a couple of friends that are embracing AI with their creativity. So really good friends with Amrita Sethi, first NFT artist in the UAE. And, she's created, some AI type imagery and worked through that creativity with the innovation. So, and I do have friends that are like, hey, F AI, I'm still going to be paint drawing. I'm still going to be canvas drawing. And that is the value. Now, no one, like the value association is by who pays. So if I see a painting and I want to put in $1 million bid on that painting, whether it was AI or hand brushed or whatever it is, it's the value I associate to it. So I feel like, yes, you're always going to have that challenge around creativity. Another one is around the IP, which true. Again, part of the petitions out there, the open letter around AI was regulation. And, one of I call him the AI fathers, godfathers, Mo Godwat. Apologies, I don't think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, but he used to be the chief business officer at Google X and recently the chief AI officer at Stephen Bartlett's Flight Story. And he mentioned a couple of things in a recent episode with Stephen Bartlett around how do you stop or slow down AI? And he said a couple of things. One around humanity uniting, which that might never happen.
Never.
Imagine North Korea and the USA,
shaking hands.
Yeah. That would
going for beers.
Yeah, that will come sometime. But hey, let's not talk about politics, please.
No, please.
But that was one thing about humanity uniting. The second thing was around taxing companies that use AI 99% to slow it down. And then looking at good parenting. If you have kids, make sure you're a good parent, because if you look at the generation alpha, those are the guys that are going to be using AI in depth, as it evolves. And it's making sure whatever we're training the data sets of AI is good and not bad. So once you start to read into it, and it could get dark pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah. Already we're seeing, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, carry on.
I was just wanted to say, make a point that already we're seeing AI on its own, copying voices, copying,
deep fakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making songs. They're actually making songs, publishing these songs. And these artists never said a word. Yeah. They just use their voice.
Yeah. Again, this is where I feel like regulation needs to come in, and it's challenging. How do you tell? And jeez, man, I'm at that point where I need to start watching out what I say, but I'm going to say what it is. How do you get to a point where, the folks building AI, look at OpenAI, Sam and Co. I can imagine how much their engineers are being paid annually, and you're telling a government official or a government team who isn't as paid as handsomely as them to regulate something that they don't know, which is the likes of OpenAI team are almost 6 times, 5 times smarter than
the governments.
Yeah, let's call a spade a spade. So it's like, how do you bridge that? How do you get regulators to regulate something that they have no experience about, and they're not financially incentivized?
You're going to need somebody from that side on their team. Why would they come on this side?
Exactly.
Unless they're very compensated.
And the reason why you do that is, you need to ensure that the private sector is also, in that loop of decision making around policies. Again, politics, government, I really don't want to talk about it, because
we have to talk about it.
We have to talk about it. It's calling a spade a spade. Like, we need to ensure that the right people with the right technical know-how are part of the team making the policies and regulating all of this. And it's fundamentally important we get it regulated as soon as possible.
And this remains a challenge.
It is. And different governmental agencies, I know Dubai, Sheikh Hamdan has signed another directive into law around, setting up an AI center and ensuring that all government services start to embrace this. Again, Dubai is very forward thinking. So for me, it's, how do we start looking at regulations from a geographic perspective to ensure that what one person is doing isn't undoing what another government is doing, and vice versa.
Okay. I want to move on to another question regarding the future of our children.
Yeah.
So we know that the metaverse is the future. Now, I wonder, what are the future of jobs for our children? Because before they even get a job, will they even need to study? Will they even need a diploma? Will that still, do you think, in your opinion, still be necessary when you have the likes of ChatGPT, Midjourney, and all these open AI systems? Where do you see the future of jobs for our children?
I think we're going to start. Yeah, it is. I think we're going to start with future of jobs right now,
right,
through this AI evolution. And speaking about the kids, my son and I play Roblox every other day. Bless him. He jumped in Volatile City and he was like, "Oh, Daddy, this is not touchscreen. Like, I can't move this." And
I'm
like, chill, man, chill. Like, he's already used to the iPad and
right,
no keyboards and all of that good stuff. And I feel like we need to be careful with our kids. I think we need to bring them in the right way, uprightly, to be kind to people, to be good people, especially around the emotional side of things. Because if I look at the generation Alpha right now, they're the ones that are going to be really, really programming and shifting the models within all of the GBTs out there, so from a job perspective, I keep saying, let's take a practical example. I'm a content writer. I think that job is already impacted right now because I can go to ChatGPT and go, I have a podcast interview about this. Give me 10 bullet points. Done. Or I want a blog post about XYZ. Done. Seconds. So if I was a content writer and it took me like a day and a half to write content for a product, I can now do that in seconds. So my advice to content writers, again, you could dispute this, is, talk to your current employer and say, hey, I'm going to be using this tool. You don't need to pay me as much anymore. However, I want to go work for 3 other folks to standardize my income. And what that does is you now get into, if you're opportune to do this, you now get into different work ethics, different industries, because now you're maintaining a portfolio of content they're writing for various organizations or coordinating for various organizations. Someone's still going to put that human touch to that ChatGPT article, right? And that's going to be you. But the time you spend doing that is not going to be a lot anymore because you have this AI technology helping you out. So it's going to be very, very specific. There's always going to be a human touch needed. But I think it's like they say, it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's someone using AI that's going to take your job. So it's how do you get clever? How do you get smarter to understand, these technologies and all of that? 2 weeks ago, I was, in a meeting with my head of products and he was sharing a screen and he went into ChatGPT and it looked foreign to me. I'm like, I'm paying for this. You're paying for this. Why does yours look like this? And it's like, oh, he has 6 plugins. And he showed me one the AI PRM or plugin. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
And guess what? I told the team today, I was like, during our team meeting, TK, you do a walkthrough of this. So everyone has this. That increases productivity. It's not, oh, I know how to do this. I keep the knowledge to myself. It's, hey, let's spread it out. So one thing you might have been struggling with this, plugin, you might get more productive. So again, it's how do we start to do things very smartly and, diligently as we go on.
Fair enough about that in terms of you can, what you said about coordinating as a content writer. Now, when it comes to our children, when they say, I want to grow up, I want to be X.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you have the advent of this technology, will they have the tolerance to go through exams? Will they have the tolerance to go through university? Will they want to do this when they just say, like, why? What is the point when I can get someone or a computer program to do it for me?
You are spot on. I coming from Nigeria, we didn't get the opportunity to question a lot of things. Daddy said this, mommy said this, and that's it.
That's it.
Now my 4-year-old daughter is like asking me questions. Why am I doing this? Why should I do this? And I'm like, I'll take you back to Nigeria.
You have it easy.
Exactly. But you are right. And I think for me, part of, conversations with my wife is we need to be open-minded nowadays, right? We need to provide the right guidance and provide the right insights around things. If my son came to me and said, hey, daddy, I want to be a musician rather than a doctor, hey, I'd support your dream.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's about passion, being kind. It's still about that humanity thing, behind the background. So I think if we're enforcing those ethos, every other thing is secondary. But it's a very, very, very valid point.
Yeah.
I can't give you an answer, to be fair,
fair.
And I don't think anyone can, because until you get to that experience, and it's going to be like, oh snap, what do I do? It's true. Like, we used to do this a different way 15 years ago, and now you don't need to do it.
You don't need to.
How do you now evolve with them? And I think part of the blessings and gift is I'm in this industry, so I'm able to see a lot of things people can't see, and I'm able to provide a bit more insights on things like that. So I'm quite fortunate to be in this position.
Okay, fair point. We're gonna wrap up very soon. We're coming up to an hour. One question about, since with the advent of Metaverse and the future, the evolution of the internet, will everybody just have to become a content creator?
No. I feel like there are too many.
Yeah.
Like everyone produces content.
Everybody, you did. You on your Instagram.
Yeah.
You're a content creator.
Exactly. But do I monetize my content? Not yet.
Okay, fine.
But again, the advent of social media has made everyone a content creator. You have Snapchat, you have Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. There's that constant demand for content, and with the metaverse as well. Until when content, and you have those guys, Taffy, where you have text to 3D avatars now, or text to 3Ds, which you can deploy in the metaverse, which is phenomenally insane. You have a lot of AI powered tools that are already starting to do that. But coming back to your question, it's hard because content rules. We're in this era whereby our attention span is very, very limited, and you have so much information out there, so much content to consume. Like I was saying to you earlier, like I had to delete Instagram. I do that every 3 weeks because there's just times you get hooked. You're laughing, you're learning, but it's like, shit, I've spent an hour just doing this. Yeah. I need to write this proposal. I need to go pick my kid up or something. And people genuinely forget. Yeah. So I'd say not everyone has to be, but, find what works for you. Like at the end of the day, it's, if you can make it work for you to pay bills, go ahead. If you can make it work for you to be an instrumental person to someone by learning education, go ahead. But don't use it for nefarious activities, don't do it for clout, which a lot of people are doing nowadays, just making content, to get numbers, likes, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, it's a challenging one. In
case people don't end up being a content creator, McDonald's will still be hiring.
Always. Food can't go wrong.
Food can't go wrong.
We need food to survive.
You need food to survive. You need it to, it'll always be there.
Yeah.
Wow. That was
I've had fun.
It's okay.
That's been intense, man.
That's been intense, yeah, I know.
No, but I've had fun. Like, all of this podcasts I jump on, and, it's for me, it's unscripted. Like, I didn't know what you were asking me. I didn't go to ChatGPT to get me prepared for this. I was just like, hey, fountain of knowledge. If I don't know, I don't know. Like I've said on a couple of answers. Like, I don't know the answer to that. Like, we're still figuring it out. But I think for me, it's using this platform to get people to be educated, get people out of their comfort zone. Anyone can learn things. You have enough learning resources on the internet now. So, people go out there, learn about the metaverse, Web3, AI, blockchain, and see how that can improve your day-to-day.
Fantastic. Jimmy, this has been a great podcast. I really appreciate your time and presence.
No, thanks for having me. Hey, like I said, this is fun. Like,
this is fun.
This is fun, and it's work, but it's fun.
Yeah,
that's what
I know.
And
it's content. End of the day.
Hey, but you're monetizing. I'm not monetizing. Look at that.
You will know.
Soon come.
Yeah.
But no, this is good. This is good.
great.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the time putting this together. I know it's never easy editing and scripting and putting the questions together and the logistics of reaching out to people. So I do appreciate your effort in getting people to know about stuff that we're building, which is fundamentally important, and the impact of that. So thank you very much.
100%. And remember, Traders Brawl is a media partner and Web3, blockchain, and Metaverse and AI education platform. So we're here to educate because this is the next evolution of technology.
Absolutely.
And we don't want our fans and our audiences to fall behind.
Yeah.
So the point of Traders Brawl is to always bring in the people with the know-how and industry experts like yourself so we can educate. That's how we get people to get from Web 2 to Web 3 and eventually Metaverse.
Absolutely.
All right.